Przed Wami pierwsza na tym kanale rozmowa przeprowadzona w języku angielskim. Przy mikrofonie Emmą w towarzystwie Wojtka i Gosi. Zapraszamy.
Okay, Emmą, I'm going to be honest with you. Like the first video I came across was the one where you try to learn Polish.
Mm-hmm.
I actually got into your other videos, and I was like really impressed because there's actually shitloads of foreigners that are in Poland, and they are making those kind of videos. Like I try to learn Polish. I try to learn the language. You know, the misconceptions about Polish people, like 10 rules in Poland that when you are at the party or something like that. But majority of those people, I would say, they don't have a charisma like you. Like I was really interested in. I was like really into your videos.
Yeah,
so
thank you.
It is a big difference between you and the other people that make those kind of videos. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say. Do you think you actually are different?
Whoa, we're starting off with a heavy hitter. That was a heavy first question.
That it's an easy one, believe me.
Okay, so it's going to get more intense. All right, so I'll try with this one. I think it's interesting because I've been told that by some different people, and I think I was really self-conscious when I started making these videos and they started getting attention because I really enjoy like the storytelling aspect of video editing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of the technical skills that I know a lot of YouTubers and more professional filmmakers have. So I thought that I didn't expect there to be a lot of positive response.
Yeah, but are you aware that you got a big personality and you got like charisma?
I've been told. So I guess I would say I'm becoming aware of it, but I was surprised to get that comment from a lot of people.
But like that's a big thing if it comes to like the biggest difference between you and other people. Like it's your personality that is, and it makes people curious what you're gonna do next and stuff like that. So it is a big thing. This is gonna be a heavy question, I think.
Oh, okay.
Is American dream still a thing, in your opinion? And what's your personal American dream?
The American dream, if I were to define it as the way that I think that society kind of looks at it, is just this whole kind of idea that you can pull yourself up by your bootstraps and you can accomplish anything. And it's a really romantic idea that if you just like want something enough and you work hard enough, you can achieve it. And it's something that is like drilled into your head as a kid and growing up. So there's definitely a part of me that totally believes in that anything is possible if you want it bad enough. I think there's a lot of different circumstances that can impact that. So I'm not sure if it's as real as we're all kind of made to believe it is. My personal American dream, though, it's interesting because a lot of my like life goals involve not being in America. Like I want to spend a lot of my time traveling and experiencing a lot of different cultures other than the one I was born in.
But isn't it that being American? Like you are just like curious what's in the world and you're ambitious and stuff like that. So isn't that American enough?
I would say that could be a pretty American mindset. I think there's a lot of people across Europe, though, who I've met who have that same kind of dream of wanting to travel and experience other places. So I'm not sure if it's distinctly American or not. I guess I could ask that question to you if you see that as more of an American quality.
I think it's, even though I try to, I don't know if I can use the word study, but I follow like American politics. I'm into American history, especially the Afro-American one, for like, I don't know how many years since I was like a little kid. I was like 7 or 8, something like that. And I'm still into it, even though it's getting a bit dodgy, I would say. If you know what I mean, like it's like the whole the whole idea of American politics and stuff like that, it's getting very dodgy at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough topic to follow right now.
Even though I'm into it and I follow it for I don't know how many years, it's the American dream for me. It's still very vague, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been to America, so I've never approached an American. I've never, have had a proper conversation with an American. So, like, everything I know, I've taken from the paper, I would say. So, yeah.
Okay.
Well, but you're now in Poland, surprisingly.
Mm-hmm.
And so, have you already woken up from our Polish dream? Because I guess it's tough being here.
That's a great question. I don't know what the Polish dream is.
But have you had any idea what can it be actually?
It's interesting because I see a lot of similar like work styles between Poland and the US, kind of like the overworking mentality that I think is very characteristic of like capitalism in the US. I see a lot of it here. And like similar political divides, there's a lot of those kind of landscapes look really similar between the US and Poland. And it's just so funny to me how when I tell people that I'm from the US and I'm here, how shocked people are. And it's almost like they want to convince me like that I made a mistake coming here. They're like, why though? And they really want to know why. And
Leave now.
Right. And it's kind of that thing where I don't know where exactly it comes from, but I don't know a lot of Polish people who seem really, really excited to be from Poland. And I haven't really pinpointed what like the Polish dream is, I guess, because of that.
But would you say they are proud to be Polish?
I think so. Yes. It's kind of like it's like a sibling relationship or something.
Okay, I get you.
Yeah, like you hate your sibling, but the second that someone else talks shit on your sibling, you're like, hey, time out.
Yeah.
And you want to fight. And honestly, I kind of feel that way about Poland at this point.
Okay.
Like I'm here and I'm like, yeah, this part kind of sucks and this part kind of sucks. But if anyone back home were to say something about it, I'd be like, watch your mouth. That's my home. You know, it's one of those things.
Yeah, I get that. I even though I criticize my country, I always like defend it anyways. Like, I always stood still for the I don't know against any criticism that, especially from a foreign person. It's a weird thing. Like if a foreign person says to you like, "I've been to Poland. Poland is blah blah blah," and you go like, "The fuck are you talking about now? You don't know shit."
Sure.
Nah, don't talk like that. So it is weird, even though we complain about Poland every single day.
Yeah, but in your videos, I remember you said that Polish people are rude to each other. So I'm gonna ask, and I have to ask why.
Why I think Polish people are rude to each other?
Yeah.
Oh God. So I think that's such a tough question to answer, honestly. I think it's a similar thing to that kind of sibling dynamic where it's like you can feel safe to kind of hate on each other because you still have the solidarity of like, yeah, we're all Poles, so we can kind of do that and it's not going to be harmful at the end of the day. I also like, this could just be my natural like tendency to put America on a pedestal as an American. I think that when I'm talking to Poles about things specifically like English levels and stuff, that's something that Polish people will really kind of drag each other down on, I think. Like I've had a lot of people comment on, oh, well, their English isn't very good, or just kind of dragging each other down in that way. And it's almost like an effort to distance themselves from what they might see as a bad thing about being Polish. So it's kind of like a self-preservation thing too, I guess. Those are two of the reasons that I've considered. Okay. Still trying to think on that one.
I know what you mean, because like we are honest in general, but sometimes we are a bit too honest. Like we don't know when to shut up. And we are the one guy that doesn't want to participate in the party. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, we like everyone's having fun, and you come into the building and you're like, "No, I'm not having this shit. I'm gonna destroy the whole party." and everyone's good mood. So I do get you on this one.
Where do you think that comes from? If I can ask you a question.
Yeah.
That whole kind of feeling of, I have this on my chest, I'm going to get it off of my chest and make it everyone else's problem. Where do you think that comes from?
I don't know. I think it's just because like the air in Poland is very heavy, and especially because of the politics, how it is, and we are kids of the communism as well. So that made us really
maybe pessimistic.
Yeah, pessimistic as well. But most of the time we are just miserable, even though we got a happy day. Like we are miserable anyways, because that happiness can be destroyed in a blink of an eye.
Yeah, but it comes with raising children. We were raised very differently.
Yeah, that's true.
Than an average American person.
Yeah.
But are these things some kind of, groundbreaking rules that you had to learn being here?
Like just the difference in attitudes?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to say because I think for the most part, I'm surrounded by generally positive people here.
Okay, that's
like
good.
The Polish people that I know are not the typical like pessimistic or downer type of people that people will often talk about when they talk about Poles. So that's why I'm still kind of surprised by the stereotype. The main thing is just the willingness to share problems, or not even the willingness, but like people will kind of just talk about their problems right away without you really saying much about it. Whereas I think it's more normal in the US to kind of have to ask someone a couple times if you think something's going on, like, hey, I noticed you were kind of feeling off or acting off. Is everything okay? Like you never have to do that with Polish people because they'll tell you immediately. And honestly, I appreciate that. I think it's really refreshing. But that was the main thing I had to learn in terms of that.
Did you change that? Did you change your approach, or was it like similar?
I'm trying to, actually. I'm trying to be more direct because I think people here, I trust people in Poland to take it better than people in the US take it. Like I'm very much a people pleaser, so it's tough for me to sometimes make a boundary in social situations. But here I've learned, like, if I don't say, nope, I'm out of here, bye, or hey, I actually disagree with that, or hey, I'm having a really shitty day, like I'll get myself stuck in conversations or I won't ever be able to get out. And I've also found that when I do put my foot down here, people are less offended than they are in the US if I do the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So it's nice.
Yeah, that is true. Like, as soon as you break that wall of rudeness, I would say, like, we are actually good people.
Absolutely, yeah.
And reliable. I would say, like, Polish people are reliable. That's a good word for us. Like, even though sometimes, like I mentioned before, we can destroy that party, like if we got a bad day, but in general, like, we are reliable.
What do you think about Polish boys?
To be honest, most of my experience with Polish boys is in my YouTube comments and in my Instagram DMs. Yeah. So it's just funny because I know that I would never be like approached in person in the way that these people are so bold on the internet. And I think that's the same in any country that you're in. So I'm not dating here. I actually have a boyfriend from the US. I'll go ahead and put that out there. I'm going to lose a bunch of subscribers when people hear that. But should probably explain that. So my experience with Polish boys is limited. I have some really nice Polish male friends. So that's been my main experience. So I can't say a whole lot on that subject. Sorry.
Yeah, but does being foreign make you more attractive as a woman? You think so?
I think so. It's interesting. I've noticed from the beginning of when I started my YouTube channel and just the types of comments that I'm getting, I know that a lot of it is because I'm more interesting here because I'm American. And if I were to go back home, I would not be getting that kind of attention for like posting stuff on the internet. So yeah, I think that has everything to do with it, honestly.
But what about like life, not internet, life? Like, does it make you more attractive? Not even as a woman, but as a person in general?
Yeah, I mean, like my best example of that is the owner of the Żabka that's on my corner. We've just had this thing going back and forth where at first I was just in this habit of trying to speak as little as possible and trying to only speak Polish just so we would never have to acknowledge the fact that I'm American. And then one day I just had to say something because I couldn't explain what I needed. And he was like, "Oh, American." And I was like, "Yeah." So now every time I'm in there, he's like, "Oh, hello, American woman." And I'm like, "Hey, how's it going?" The other day he gave me a hug for no reason. And so now I get a hug from my Żabka guy every time I go in. And it's
so
like,
Żabka
that's
is your
not
favorite
normal.
store.
Oh my God, it's the best. It's right on the corner of my building. So I'll walk past sometimes and he waves out the window to me. And I'm like, okay, I know that's not normal for like a Żabka owner. So little things like that, yeah, will happen to me, which I know is because I'm American.
Did anyone ever greet you, Gosia, with a hug, like at the store?
No, I would punch them in the face. It's kind of rude. It's too much.
Yeah.
We're talking about the fun sides of just being here. Fun sides, I wouldn't say fun. I would say weird. But what about the fun or weird sides of Polish language?
Interesting. So I've talked about in my videos how you can make things cute with like adding, it's a lot of the times adding like a K sound or something like that. Like my roommate called me a mechka once, and I thought it was the cutest thing I've ever heard. And I have a little card now from Christmas that says a mechka on it, and I'm going to keep it forever. I love it so much. But I think it's just adorable that you can do that with your language and everyone like knows what you're talking about. And I don't think there's quite an American or English equivalent to that. I also think it's really interesting to see how direct translations can go wrong sometimes. Like the word is like komunikacja is like your transportation. Yeah. And so when everyone was telling me, oh, the communication in this area of the city is great, and I was like, okay, that makes sense, because I just thought it was a funny translation, but I was like, it still makes sense because it's kind of like you're communicating from one end of the city to the other. So I was like, I'm following you. But then when I realized that the word was komunikacja, I was like, oh, that makes so much more sense that it's just a direct translation. So I love finding little things like that in Polish. And now it's like, because I'm in a preschool every day and I'm hearing like child Polish, it's exciting when I hear little connections between things and I'm like, oh my God, I knew what that kid said. Or like a kid will come up to me and ask me a question and I'm able to react to it without being like, bro, come on, I don't speak Polish, because I think they all have gotten tired of just going to the other teacher and asking them their questions. But now I can kind of respond. So it's cool. I'm still unable to speak. Even though I can understand a couple things, I couldn't really form a sentence on my own. So it's tough.
Actually, we've talked about it with Gosia before our today conversation, and we said something about that in your comments. You got shitloads of people that are correcting you. Like if you write something incorrectly or say something incorrectly in Polish, they immediately try to correct you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Isn't it?
What do you think about that?
Annoying?
Is it annoying? Yeah.
I appreciate it because I know that, and like in its purest form, these people are really just like, a lot of them want the best for me and want me to, they think they're being helpful, and they are being helpful in a lot of ways. But sometimes, like one time I just had a typo in like an Instagram story that I posted, and I knew exactly what I was trying to say and I could say it correctly. I just spelled it wrong. And so then when everyone was coming in my DMs and comments, like, it's actually this and this is why, I was like, oh my God, you guys, I swear I know it. And then it's just like, that was my chance to look smart and I blew it. So I hate that moment. But it's a good humbling experience. It keeps me down where I belong. So that's all right. I don't mind.
Yeah, but that relates to the stuff that you said, actually, for us being judgmental if it comes to like English skills of other person. Like you're gonna if you hearing someone making mistakes, you're gonna say straight away like, you need to be, saying that and this, and your English should be better and shit like that. But I think you should appreciate the effort, and that's the most important thing. Like even
Yeah, exactly.
even if your English is like they say broken English or spastic English, if those words are allowed. But I do appreciate that you try to communicate. Like the effort is the most important thing.
Yeah, and that leads me to think about hate and criticism, because is it hate or is it criticism, and how can you differentiate it?
Interesting question. I think I get more criticism definitely than hate. Like I feel pretty lucky that the hate is like few and far between. I don't really consider myself to be getting a lot of hate comments. It's mostly people who want to help, and it might just come off a little more aggressive than they mean it to. And obviously there are people who are like, fuck this American, what's she doing here? Get out of our country, which is like, I expected way more of that, to be honest. Okay. So I'm okay with the little bit that I'm getting. And I am at a place now where I'm very okay with receiving criticism, and I'm okay with it. I'm almost more uncomfortable with the fact that people were so immediately very positive towards me. It like made me nervous. So I'm okay with the criticism, really.
Is there a room, like designated area or space or however, where hate is acceptable? I mean, area in life in general.
Interesting. That's a really difficult question. I don't think like the emotion of hatred is a bad thing. I think that it just shows that you're passionate about something, and it's a lot of it is like your ego getting triggered. And I think putting it on to someone else, especially a stranger, that's where I don't think there's a place for it. I think hatred as an emotion, like there's space for that. But I think when you act on it in a way that could harm someone else, I'm not.
So it's not the emotion, it's what you're doing with the emotion.
Yeah, absolutely.
On the other hand, there's another question, like words in foreign languages don't have that much meaning. Like for me, like English words, I don't know, like swear words don't have that much meaning as they have in my native language.
Yeah. And that makes so much sense. I am sure that the like language barriers like that make up for a lot of ways that certain like hateful media is consumed. I think that makes a lot of sense.
That's a good question for a foreigner. Do you like to swear in Polish?
I think it's fun. Yeah. And it is the same thing where, to me, it sounds the same as any neutral or kind word. Like if, I could say it in a certain aggressive tone, or like there's a difference between when the drunk guy on my corner is like, Pierdola, in the middle of the night. Like that's awful and terrifying. But if I'm just saying it here in my room, I'm like, oh, that was a funny little Polish sentence, So it doesn't make a difference to me.
It doesn't have that much power.
No, not at all.
At this point, are you planning any other trips? Like long-term trips?
Long-term, no. So my work visa is going to last until the beginning of June. And then at that point, I'm planning on taking about a month to backpack through some other places. I've never been to Spain or the UK at all. So I want to go over in that direction and spend some time. And then after that, go to the US, kind of see what's happening, stay for the summer. And then my thought has always been that I would come back, maybe stay in a different country for a while. Don't have any plans yet, though.
Go to Scotland, though.
Yeah?
Yeah, Isle of Skye. That's the most beautiful place on earth.
Okay, it's on my list, so I'm excited. That's good to hear.
Go, but you need like at least a week, I would say.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, because you need to take it in. You need to embrace it, like eat every single day. Like being there and in the rush, it's not worth it. You need to have at least a week, I would say.
I'm going to need some specific recommendations from you later for sure, okay?
Yeah, no worries. That's all right.
Awesome.
Gosha, do you have anything? Or actually, we wanted to go back to your schooling.
Yeah, let's go back to schooling. Because, well, it's interesting. First of all, you're a native speaker, so it's a very big deal for those kids. But do you have any freedom when it comes to teaching these children here in Polish schools? And if not, how much freedom would you like to have?
Freedom in terms of what exactly what content I'm teaching?
In terms of teaching, yeah. Do you think you have enough skills to teach children, and that they don't need to, say anything to you or teach you how to teach them?
The company that I work for has actually been super helpful in terms of lesson plans and things. They do a lot of training for English teachers. I think in this company that I have, they have somewhere between 30 and 40 English teachers. And I believe that myself and one girl from Sudan are the only two who do not speak Polish. So she's the only other person who I can kind of relate this experience to. But I have been shocked that it's not that big of an issue in the age group that I'm teaching, which is like 3 to 6-year-olds. The English barrier isn't that big of an issue when you are teaching just simple things like, this is a tiger. What noise does a tiger make? Like we can all kind of figure that out through context of what's going on. And this company that I work through makes a lot of really good structured lesson plans. Within that, I do have a lot of the freedom to kind of, if I want to do an art project on this day, we can do that. If I want to just dance in a circle with the kids, we can do that. So I can change it depending on like how the kids are feeling that day. I have a really energetic group that likes to move a lot, which I think a lot of kids at that age group do. So we do a lot of like movement games and things like that.
You need to take them running.
Yeah, oh my gosh. We went to the playground today and they were just sprinting for 30 minutes straight. We came back and I was like, okay, maybe we'll sit for a minute. And they were like, no, we're going to run inside. So it's just like, it's never ending, but it's fun.
Language at school, do you think it is efficient or not? I mean, like in Poland.
Yeah, because from my experience, it's not so much.
Yeah, from my experience, not as well.
That's a common theme, I think, in language learning in general, because I took French for a couple of years in high school. And as soon as I was out of those classes, forgot everything. Like all of that instruction that I had was useless. And I think the way that we try to teach languages in general is just not that effective, because there comes a point where you can know the rules and you can know the vocabulary, but if you're not using it and you're not using it regularly with a native speaker, it just becomes useless. And so I think it's super cool that I have the opportunity to be talking to these kids who are so young. And it kind of, because their brains like can wrap around it so much easier than like someone older. Yeah, exactly. They're just soaking it all up. And even if they might not know what they're saying, when I hear a kid like repeating something that I've said and like using it in the right way, it's really exciting because I can see that connection forming. So I think even just introducing it so early is great. But I think there is a point when if it's specifically just like a bunch of Polish people teaching other Polish people English, you're going to hit a wall at some point. So then at that point, it becomes more necessary to have, I think in higher level classes, it would be more beneficial to have a native speaker, or even have like tutors who are native English speakers for older kids. It's cool that these younger kids are being challenged by me existing in the space, because if they need something, they have to figure it out. We're really having a hard time with the word scissors. So no one can remember the word scissors right now. So they're like, you must help cut, like, and they can't get the word. So eventually they're going to get it because they have to, and that's cool. But as far as effectiveness, I'm not sure what I think about it yet.
Like, not necessarily only kids have those kind of trouble, because I remember from school, I had people we were like 16, and people were saying America instead of America, or sweet sheet instead of sweatshirt and stuff like that. So that was funny. Yeah, but there's the other thing I wanted to mention when you said, like, kids remember. When I was little, we used to have Cartoon Network in English.
Mm-hmm.
And I've remembered loads of sentences. For instance, one of the sentences was from Cow and Chicken, where chicken asks cow what, and she replies chicken butt. And I was walking around the school and saying that to people when I was like 6 or 7. So yeah,
that's
even
great.
though I didn't know what I was saying, chicken butt. Question: what are the biggest misconceptions about Americans and United States in general?
That's difficult because the thing is, you could say some pretty bad stuff, and a lot of it I think would be true. So, do you have any specific misconceptions you could give me, and I can see if I can tell you if they're right or wrong?
Europeans, I think they think of themselves as smarter than Americans sometimes. That's the first one that comes to my mind.
Ignorant.
Yeah, well, I think ignorant, absolutely. And I think it's true because we're in such a bubble, and we make so much like media that then will end up dominating in other places. Like, I know American media is really widely consumed all over the world. Mm-hmm. So it's really easy for Americans to just feel like we're a lot more important than we are in the grand scheme of things because we're overrepresented. So that's what we're used to. I don't think that's a misconception at all that we're ignorant.
But building your country, I don't know, in like 300 years, it is an achievement. So you can feel a little bit like that.
I guess so. I forget how young of a country we are, though. And then you think about in comparison to all of these major nations who have gone through all of these rises and falls. And I'm like, oh my God, we're overdue for a really dramatic fall, I think. And that makes me nervous.
That's why maybe we are so pessimistic. And
it's possible.
Well, you don't fall into that bag because we've heard you are into World War II and stuff like that. Is it true? You are into history?
I am, yeah. I try, especially since I've been here, I'm trying to learn more, but those are always topics that have interested me, yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think it's kind of just the storytelling aspect of it. Like, I have always loved to read specifically, and I really love films also, and those kinds of books and films about war and things like that have so much emotion in them that it's really easy to get attached.
Okay.
And so I guess that's been my experience with them. Also, like, my dad's an old white guy, and old white guys love World War II stuff. So I'm sure being influenced by him in some ways.
Does he have like loads of books in?
He does. Yeah. I know that I've never read any of the same books as him, but I'll recommend him some. And he actually read, I've read The Tattooist of Auschwitz recently, and he read that one as well, he thought it was interesting.
I can tell you this. Unfortunately, that book is loads of crap in there.
Oh shit.
Yeah, there's loads of it's a bestseller, but it was debunked many times.
Was it really? I didn't know.
Yeah. There's loads of bullshit in there. Unfortunately, because I've read the book as well, and I was like, shit.
Damn.
Yeah, but
I liked the book.
Okay, but you also liked All the Light We Cannot See.
Yeah, I love it.
So my question is, and it's a very bold question, a philosophical question, and I don't know if you're gonna answer, but what kind of light you cannot see? You personally.
Ooh, I didn't know what to expect with this interview, and that was deep. Okay. Damn, I think Whoa, can I sit with that for a while? Can we maybe circle back?
Of course.
Okay,
so we had the biggest misconceptions.
Yeah, do you have any more thoughts on that, actually?
On the lights?
No, on the misconceptions. I kind of want to hear other people talk shit on America.
I think you're making, and it's going to be good ground for our next question. I think there's loads of similarities between you and other countries if it comes to politics, because I'm going to say that I wouldn't support Biden, but I wouldn't support Trump.
Yeah.
At all. I'm not right or left wing. But anyways, yeah. And I think people do not understand politics at all. But they want to participate every single day. And some of the people, and I think it's an American thing as well, because people cannot tie their shoes, but they want to change the world. And I think it's the wrong path.
In terms of just like, we all have opinions, whether they're informed or not, and we're going to say it.
Yeah.
I think that's true. And I think...
And you're going to act even though you are not prepared. Because I would like to see people changing the world, and I don't mind, and I would like to help them, but they are not prepared at all. They act only because someone said you need to act, but they don't feel it.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly the problem, is because we have created this really weird cultural moment where it suddenly became a sign of like morality to declare a certain like political standing. Like, we equated morality with politics, which was a huge mistake and something that like the founding fathers tried to warn us about doing, and we did it, and we divided into these like political systems, which a lot of countries have, obviously. And then with everything that happened in 2020 with the Black Lives Matter movement, with people believing or not believing in COVID, with like the vaccine debate and everything like that, it was one of those things where accountability became super important in social issues. And so people just were like, oh my God, I need to align myself with a certain side, and I need to do it the right way, or people are going to hate me. And then that's why we've had so much performative activism, which is that thing of like, we need to change the world, but we don't know what the hell we're doing. Like you said, like, we're acting because someone is expecting us to act. And there's a lot of people aren't genuine.
And that's bad, because like where the real activism dies because of that, where people actually doing something, they are not visible at all because the other people that are not genuine in that, they are really loud. Unfortunately, when someone can change actually the world, can do something, no one cares, because there are other people that are louder. And that's unfortunate.
Yeah, but there are two sides of this, because there is this great figure of an American citizen being very responsible, and we're very up to that figure. So it's not that bad misconception, I would say.
Yeah, I'm glad that there is an idea of us being involved in and interested in politics. And I do think that in general is a positive like shift, that people are at least becoming more aware of politics and social issues. But there totally is that problem of people acting not because they're well informed or because they really care, but because there's now a societal pressure to care. And that's where it gets so messy, because all of these people are trying to act woke, or trying to, like, I don't know, trying to be activists when they don't know shit. And I'm also someone who, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't know shit. Like, I've had a pretty easy life track. And so it's one of those things where you just have to be really careful. But at least
you can admit
careful.
that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think a lot of people aren't willing to admit it. And so with me, it's like, anything that I say on those kinds of things, I want to make sure that everyone takes what I say with a grain of salt and can recognize, all right, this is a like middle class white girl who hasn't had a whole lot of opposition in her life. And so my voice is much less important in the grand scheme, but I want to try to be supportive of people who haven't had as much of a voice as I have.
But I don't think it does matter where you're from and what you've been through. I like in general, I mean, like to you, of course, it means something, but in general, it doesn't make a difference where you're from and what you've been through. We are people, and that's how we should be treated, like just like people. I'm not judging you because the color of your skin, where you're from, and stuff like that. I just judge you by your acts, and that's it. And I don't care where you're from.
Yeah, I think so too. I've seen just since I've been here, my like social media algorithms have started moving towards like the Polish way, and I get a lot of Polish TikTokers who are talking about like what the hell is going on with specifically the race debate in the US. Like people here just don't understand why racism, the way that we experience it based on skin color, is an issue, because you guys have had like everything that happened here with the persecution of Polish people and Jewish people. And so I'm sure it's really hard to kind of wrap your head around the way that we have so many divides just based on color.
I just wanted to ask about, because if we're into politics now, I wanted to ask about similarities between American and Polish government, because I remember you saying you being very angry about the political situation in Poland because you declare yourself as a liberal.
Yeah, I think it's like I mentioned earlier that I think that the two-party system and the clear divide is so problematic, because if, like, as an idealist, the whole point of democracy is that you can really represent the whole people with your government and with the way that politics work. And so to me, it makes so much sense that in an ideal world, you have side A and you have side B. And so you put everybody together and then you come out with option C, which is like some kind of a healthy compromise. But we now have the kind of situation where it's just side A and side B who hate each other, and it's all like everything is out of spite, and it's a win-lose situation for only one side. And I see a lot of that reflected in the clear like conservative liberal divide in Poland as well. So like I remember when I came here, and in my first conversation with my good friend Zosha, she's the one who like first picked me up from the airport when I came here, and she was like, yeah, it's crazy, like the whole COVID thing, some people are vaccinated, some people aren't. And it's like the way that she was talking about the whole issue, I was like, oh my God, you just sound like someone from my hometown explaining what's going on with the vaccine. It was like I went across an ocean and nothing is different. So it's interesting to me. It like the politics here are nothing shocking. It's just kind of the same old thing.
Divide and conquer.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I want to do, divide us. They act the same. There's no difference who you're going to vote for. They do the same shit.
Right. I know.
Even though you got an option C, it's not going to work because they do the same stuff.
Yeah, and I think that's when people who are idealists and who are like positive thinkers, as they grow up, they kind of see, oh my God, it really is the same shit over and over again. And so older generations are like, yeah, this political bullshit, like I'm not interested. And then you have young people who are like, no, we can change this. And I like am afraid for the part of my life where I start to kind of wither out and I'm like, yeah, it's all the same old shit. Like I'm very scared for that kind of turning point. I had another thought there, but I lost it.
What does it mean to be a liberal? And is it difficult these days, especially abroad?
So actually, when I was first doing a little bit of research about Poland, I saw like that statistic that it's like 90% Catholic or something like that. And I was like, ooh, this should be interesting, because I'm not one to really like start an argument or ruffle anybody's feathers, even if I do have a different opinion. That's just not really who I am as a person. And so I'm like, I can kind of blend in any situation. It's not going to be too big of a deal for me as long as someone isn't like saying something I think is really offensive to the point that I feel like I need to start a conversation. But I was like, all right, it's whatever. I'm used to kind of a conservative, even religious environment. And then coming to Warsaw specifically, it's like the liberal concentration of Poland. And so it hasn't been difficult for me at all in that sense. And even with this last like Q&A video that I posted, I was very aware when I'm saying like, yeah, I do have these liberal values. And I see like my demographics of the people who watch my videos on YouTube, and it's like a lot of older Polish men. So I was like, all right, this is going to be fun, whatever. But it's kind of just like, I want people to be aware of who they're watching. And I don't want I was already seeing some kind of like anti-LGBTQ, whatever comments in my comment section. And I was like, let's just go ahead and shut that down. And then if there's any kind of hate, it can be directed towards me. And
did it actually work?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't posted a video since that one. I'm working on a couple though. So we'll see kind of what the response is in the future. But the whole point was I didn't want my viewership and people posting hateful comments to be a reflection of who I am and what I'm tolerating. I would rather people be hating on me than saying hateful things associated with my name. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. But would you like to change their minds or shut the fuck up or approach you? And I don't know. That's the easiest part. That's the easiest part to do, just to approach you and hate you just because you said you're liberal. But what scenario would be the best for you?
I'm kind of over the idea of wanting to change anyone's mind at this point. Like, I have always struggled with not being able to come to an agreement with people on certain issues, to the point where a lot of times, like, I'll take a more neutral stance to be more accommodating of other people. But in this particular situation, I am okay with people just kind of either like, and there are some people who were commenting and they were like, hey, like, I don't think that X view that you have is okay, but I enjoy your content. And so to me, it's like, that's fine. I just want people to know what they're working with. Like, I don't want there to be any kind of secret. I didn't want it to be a situation where I'm like, oh, I have these values and I know that people who have different values like my videos, so I'm not going to say anything about it so that I can continue to benefit off of views or whatever. I'm not interested in changing anybody's mind. I just want people to know where I stand. And if they leave, it's okay with me.
Okay.
But are you open to a conversation?
Absolutely. Yeah. If we can be respectful, I'm open to a conversation.
Yeah, but is it possible to change anyone's mind at the end of the day?
That's the thing. I don't know that it is. So we can talk ideas and I'm okay with having those conversations, but there's never really an expectation that anyone's going to change anyone's mind, I don't think.
We lost the light. What about the light?
Oh my God. The light I cannot see. I want to answer that question.
So what about the light you can see? You know, in people, in the world.
Oh, that's
maybe
a good question.
That's the great better start for that.
Okay, so the light that I can see, something that I have found to be, I think a reason that moving to a different country was honestly not that scary to me is because I think that it's always possible to find good people anywhere. And I have a good friend who I met her at college in Kansas, and she did a semester abroad in the Czech Republic. Okay. And now she's actually living there doing her master's program. And we've had so many conversations about the whole thing of like being expats and the fear of like going somewhere new. And for her, she was always like, I'm so worried that I'm not going to find the right people, or like I'm not going to be able to meet anyone who has kind of the same values as me, or there's never going to be anyone who I'm comfortable with the way that I'm comfortable with you or my other friends. Mm-hmm. And I've seen it happen every single time where she will go to a new place and she will always end up finding people that she loves. And I've experienced the same thing, like going away from home to go to college, when I went to study abroad in Florence a couple years ago, and then now coming here, I will always find great people who I think that I can trust and who will share similar values as me or life experiences. And even if they don't, who are willing to like be open and support one another. And I've just always seen that. And I think that's the thing I have the most faith in. Like, I'm never worried about finding people. And I think that's one of the most important things about life. Like, regardless of what you're doing, if you can work a shitty job, but then come home to good people, you're going to be okay. And so I have a lot of faith in that.
Yeah, that's actually very, very like mature, I would say. I don't have that. I don't have that. What
are your lights? I want to know what your lights are.
I've got very bright lights that make me blind. No, it is a good question actually, and I didn't think about it. Gosh, are you first?
The goodness in people, the kindness, the thing that, well, I think we live for relationships or for other. It's the giving, sometimes taking, but it's mostly giving. When it comes to the light, it's always about people for me.
I really don't know, but I want to say laugh, humor.
I think that's a good one.
That's the light that I can see, because in situations, in people, in general, that if you find something funny, if you notice, like, the best connections you have is with the people that you can make the most fun with.
Yeah.
So you're like following the dopamine.
Yeah. That's the thing.
Nothing bad in romanticizing, life, romanticizing relationships, and thinking that, well, we're just the two of us and no one's like us. It's okay, I think, unless it's narcissistic. But well,
we're gonna end with the light that you cannot see. Maybe you'll answer the question, but we got like books, movies, music, hobbies. What you do? What you like to do? What's the besides books?
Fun stuff.
Fun stuff.
The fun stuff. So yeah, we know I like books. Normally, I'm not just going through World War II fiction all the time. Yeah. I like other stuff as
You're
well.
not.
No, can you believe it? That's not the only genre I like.
Now more elder man left the chat.
I know. We're like, dang it, she has other interests. Unsubscribed. I understand.
She's liberal and she doesn't read that much of World War II books. Why?
That's fine. That's all right. So yeah, general fiction reading. Love that. I really like a good kind of offbeat TV series. I don't know if you guys have seen Killing Eve ever.
It's
Killing Eve?
A British one, yeah?
Yeah.
It is. It's with Sandra Oh and yeah. So like about a female assassin and this woman who's like trying to find her, and it's both very like, it's dark, but it balances like the darkness of the storyline with a lot of comedy and a lot of really cool cinematography. So I love stuff like that. I always am recommending that TV show. I love it so much. But I love also music. I play the ukulele and I sing a little bit, so that's really fun for me.
Cool.
Yeah. And then anytime I can get outside, I love that. So it's been a bit of a bummer recently, obviously, but like I love to longboard. I love
longboard. Oh,
you love to longboard. How cool is that?
I do. Yeah. I've been trying to find a good cheap longboard in Warsaw, and I'm having a tough time, but I would really love to get one when it gets warm. So we'll see. Yeah, but stuff like that. Those are the main hobbies, I would say.
Okay, what about the ukulele? Does anyone who heard you saying that you play ukulele was try to make you play it when they were drunk? Like Polish people are very convincing when they are drunk.
Yeah.
Actually, we had a party, and so my roommates, I got this ukulele off of a dude from Facebook Marketplace who was really nice. And so I was practicing a little bit in my room, and like, I'm shy for the most part. I don't want to be like all out in anybody's face with stuff like that. But my roommates had heard me playing, and they brought in their pillows and blankets before bed one night, and they were like, will you sing us a song before we go to bed? And so they had heard me play something, and then we had this party with just a couple friends over, and they were like, Emma, get out your ukulele. And I had had enough to drink, so I was like, all right, we're going to do this. So sang a little song for everybody. That was a lot of fun. But for the most part, I keep it to myself.
Speaking about parties and convincing someone for something, did you hear our famous or infamous ze mną się nie napijesz?
Okay, so I hear drink. Yeah.
Yeah.
Something about drinking with your friends.
Yeah, because it's the stereotype about Polish people that we drink a lot.
It's not a
But is
stereotype.
that true?
It's
Really?
true.
Because I'm not drinking, so sometimes.
That's the thing.
You are the only Polish person that doesn't drink.
I'm a weirdo.
I think
Sorry.
even if you don't drink that much, you probably still have a really high tolerance for drinking. I think that's true about all Poles. Like just a genetic trait you have.
We've invented vodka. That's
Yeah.
that's a big
horrible
thing.
to hear. Oh my god.
No, I don't even think it's a negative thing. I think it's fun.
Do you refuse to drink with me? Then that would be the correct translation.
Oh,
That's the question we ask when we are drunk and someone refuses to drink, and you're like,
It's like me.
Yeah.
You have to drink me. Yeah.
That has happened. Yes, and it's gotten me to take more shots than I should have. Yeah. Absolutely.
if you will refuse, then that's the biggest disrespect you can give to a Polish person.
Yeah. It's very much that thing where someone's already poured you something and you're like, oh, I'm done. And no, you're not. They've decided for you.
Yeah.
The best explanation I ever heard at the party, like we were drinking and one of the guys said, like, I'm not drinking more, like I'm having a break. And the other guy poured in a drink and he goes, like, why you did that? Because I could. That was it.
No.
It's too much power.
Polish power.
Yeah, absolutely.
Superpower.
Yeah, legend. No, that's Jan Błachowicz, legendary Polish power. Do you know Jan
Yeah.
Błachowicz? No, you don't follow MMA, do you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, he's in the UFC. He was one of the champions for like 2 fights, and that was it. And an elder Brazilian guy just smashed him.
Damn, you hate to see it.
Yeah, that was bad, but I wasn't surprised, to be honest. Okay, what grade would you give to Poland
Well, in general?
in general?
Mhm.
Oh my God. In terms of like all categories, places to live, places to visit, people, food,
Manage
all
with
of
that
it.
question however you like.
Oh my God. What grade would I give? In terms of... This is such a dangerous question. You're like trying to get me
No,
in
go ahead.
trouble.
Be honest. We don't like. Even though I said at the beginning, like, I don't like where foreigners complain about my country. I really don't mind.
And I do want to say, like I've told you about the whole sibling thing, I really do feel that, where now that I've been here for a minute, I feel that even if I say something negative, it's with that, like, it's through the tint of also it's like home in a way. And so
Yeah.
it's like a sibling thing. Okay, anyway, I think I'm going to say a C because that's what my gut is telling me.
Okay.
Like ABC. I don't know what you guys do, like number grading, right?
Yeah. But that's a 3, I would say. C is a 3. Is
Yeah.
A plus the highest?
Yes.
Yeah, so you got
It's like
F
3.
is the lowest, F minus, yeah?
So C is like solid. Okay.
Like average.
Yeah.
Average. Exactly.
Absolutely. Because I think there are certain things that are great about Poland and certain things. And it's so hard also because I've been here during the shittiest weather months and I'm someone who really likes to be outside and exploring and all of those kinds of things. And now it's like a lot of my time I'm in my room looking out at the gray skies and I'm like, wow, I'm so glad I moved to Poland. This is great. And I do think, yeah, the overall experience is just really interesting for me. Like this is just a very strange and exciting time in my life. And I also just think that the whole thing is kind of hilarious. Like if you take a step back and it's like, literally, why am I here? There's truly no real reason. So it's a fun place to be confused about your life, I think. So that's why I would still give it a solid C.
Okay. But actually, you said that Poland chose you. You didn't choose Poland at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think it's true because I wasn't looking for anywhere specific. And then Poland just kind of kept coming up. And I was like, all right, I'll go see what's going on there with very limited knowledge. I know, like Spain would have been great. It's just Spain wasn't constantly emailing me being like, hey, do you want to interview with this preschool? But Poland was knocking down my door. So I was like, fine, you guys sound fun. And here I am.
What Poland taught you that you can use in your life? Is there anything? Anything besides drinking?
I do. Besides the fact that I'll have a way higher alcohol tolerance when I go home, and I can impress a lot of people with that. I think it is kind of that thing of the more blunt personalities and kind of being able to get over things that you might think are offensive in other cultures. I think that's a really great thing about Polish people and the whole like not sugarcoating anything. I think that's so refreshing. And so to be surrounded by people who behave that way, I'm able to now kind of like state my opinions more easily and things like that I think will be a surprise to people when I go back to the US. And I like that.
Did they notice anything when you went over to visit? Did they say, "Oh, you changed"?
No, I think because for the most part, it's so interesting. When I went back for that week, it was almost that feeling that I had never left. And also, I was only with my family and my boyfriend, really, and they're the people who I'm talking to constantly while I'm here. So I think any of those kind of changes they could see gradually within me. I know for my parents, it's very jarring to see me move to a different country, have like a real big girl job with a contract and be like doing my own thing and then coming back to surprise them, like doing all of that on my own. I think it's very much like, oh, she's grown up now. So that's something that
was a big statement.
Yeah. I think that was a big deal for them. So that's kind of cool.
Okay, I've got one more question actually.
All right.
Do you have any roots from your parents got how do you call them ancestors? Do you know anything about that?
So I think my family is a pretty even split between German and English.
Okay. Even more elder Polish men hate you right now.
Oh my God, I know.
Because you said you're half
worse.
German, not half German, but you got German roots.
This was a mistake. I should have never done this. That's what I know. Maybe I'll take a DNA test and we'll find out that I'm 100% Polish. I think that could be good for the brand. But as far as I know, English and German, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been to Germany? Because you said you've never been to UK, so...
Yeah, I went for just a long weekend in December with my friends. We have a friend who's living there. So I saw a bit of Dusseldorf, Cologne.
These are good places as well.
Yeah, they're beautiful. I had a lot of fun. I liked it.
Before we're going to finish, Gosha, do you have anything?
No, I guess not, because I think we're going to leave the question about the light because I'm thinking about it constantly, and honestly, I don't have an answer also. So yeah, it's
I have a
difficult.
tentative answer. You can if you want to use it, you can. If it's not a fully formed thought, so
Go ahead.
I'll take a stab at it. So as far as the light that I cannot see, I think it's really difficult for me, and I know I'm young, but I think it's difficult for me to kind of see a long-term purpose in my life, like what I really want to spend my time doing long-term, what I really, really want to work towards, because I have been hearing about this philosophy lately that it can be okay to kind of just go through life and do enjoyable things and find the next enjoyable thing until you die. And part of me really likes that, but part of me is very uncomfortable with the idea that there's not some greater purpose that I need to accomplish. And so I think I will always be kind of seeking that one greater thing. And I'm trying to kind of accept the idea that if I don't find it, it will be okay. So that is kind of, that's all I have on that topic. Just has been a recent thought.
Yeah, but that is a good answer.
Yeah, very good.
That is a really good
Thanks,
answer.
guys.
W dzisiejszym podcaście to już wszystko. Jeżeli nagranie przypadło Ci do gustu, zostaw komentarz. Jeżeli nie przypadło, również zostaw komentarz. Prosimy o suby, lajki i inne dzwonki, które pozwolą nam rozwinąć skrzydła. Dzięki!